Hey gang, Will here from the Ashland Fly Shop, the regional fishing report for you for the last week of August 2019. Here we go. All right, let's get right into it. Rogue River Steelhead, that's what we're talking about. That's what we're doing. That's what we're focused on. That's what we're all about. That's the whole thing. That's everything. So, Rogue River conditions are great. We got about 1,800 CFS coming out of the dam, 2,200 at Dodge Bridge. That's in that kind of main chunk of water that we fish. We call the Upper Rogue. It extends down to about the town of Rogue River. And it's been pretty damn good out there. We've seen a lot of periods of really exceptional fishing on the Rogue and some very slow periods. So it's hard to say. It's some of the best fishing we've seen, and I think conditions play into that. But a lot of the factors there really point to a very good year, good return numbers, and the fishing has been quite consistent, I would say, overall. I mean, we've certainly seen weeks, that have been like, everyone and their brother who's like walking up to the river is managing to hook a fish. But the way steelhead are, they sort of come in together, and so you can get these larger groups that come up and spread out. So it's interesting. So. And always with steelhead fishing, it's really hard to put your finger on, exactly what's happening out there. But I think it is it looks to be a very good return. We've had good numbers of hatchery returns. We've seen decent numbers of wild fish caught. And I think there's a lot of positive signs out there for this season. And we've really been in the season. We've been fishing, steelhead for the last 4 weeks pretty seriously, which is fairly normal for us. And August has been quite good. So we're really stoked about it. Swinging flies, we do have, this time of year, warm weather, high pressure. So going with lighter Scandi style lines with lighter flies, skating flies, traditional stuff in mornings and evenings, and using tips in the afternoon is a really good approach. If you're nymph fishing, you've got great water on the Rogue for that. Running bugs along some of the bedrock shelves in that deeper water and stuff is always a good way to find them, because the fish really, it's kind of the way they are. They really hustle through the lower middle river, and the water temperatures are just so unfavorable for them down there. They're just hauling ass to get into, the cooler water in the upper river. So once they get up here, they really find those refuges throughout the upper river where they can tuck into those bedrock shelves and really just sit. That's why you don't see a lot of Rogue River fish hanging in tail outs and stuff like that. I mean, you find them here and there, but they're mostly in those slots, in those deeper buckets and stuff. So, nymph fishing or using sink tips when you're swinging flies can really get down and get your fly in front of the fish. So yeah, Rogue River, Upper Rogue, great place to be right now. We're really looking forward to the first of the month, September, where we flip into fly fishing only from Fisher's Ferry boat ramp up to the dam. We always love that time of year. Thank you, everyone, for supporting that in the Upper Rogue. It's awesome and makes it a great place to be during that time. So that starts September 1st, and right on the heels of that, we see the water levels drop and the water temperature cool off a bit. So that's a phenomena that happens throughout the month of September. We'll be talking more about it. So lots of good stuff coming up, good fishing happening, and I think we're looking toward a good season. So we hope to see you out there. Holy water section of the Upper Rogue, we don't get a ton of feedback from this time of year on that trout section above the hatchery there that we call the holy water. Definitely worth checking out. I would say that's our local trout spay streamer water for this time of year. So fishing streamers, fishing sink tips, small, even some kind of like lake tactics to small to mid-size sink tips can work really well up there this time of year. Finding that moving water, finding where the flow is kicking up, always coming out of that big dam, you've got, all kinds of stuff, ground up fish, smolt, that kind of stuff. So you fishing white streamers and stuff in there can work pretty well. So that's what I would do up there. You might run into a midge hatch in the evening, really late evening. You might run into some interesting midge hatches and rising fish. They can be pretty challenging up there, but that's a good place to focus on that. So the holy water, I'd give it a try, but we're not getting a lot of feedback on that now. Really watching the Klamath River. People are starting to, talk about the Klamath, fish the Klamath in the lower end. We're starting to hear about fish coming in. It's always really interesting to me, these lower sections of the rivers like the Rogue and stuff. The water is just so warm. It's so warm. And when we looked this morning, it was like getting up to 74, 75 degrees. I mean, I guess you fish in the morning. I don't know exactly how you approach. I mean, these fish really hustle. They just move through there. And I talk to people who fish down there for half pounders this time of year and have slow days and stuff. I can imagine, man, if I was a fish, I wouldn't want to be being in that fresh water for a second moving through there. So I don't know. I mean, I guess it can be a good time to fish down there. I think it's a bit early. If you're going to go poke around, I think it's a bit early, and just be aware of water temps and stuff. But we're starting to hear about fish coming in. Same with the Rogue. We've heard of half pounders kind of moving through there, and kind of getting staging, moving into the lower Rogue. But the lower Klamath's one to watch. So we're hearing about fish coming in, and as the water cools, as the weather changes, and they really push up into that middle river, that's what we're really looking for, because that's water that we can reach, down around Happy Camp and stuff like that. So we'll be talking about that coming up pretty soon, because we love fishing down there. But the Klamath is always, a good 30 days behind the Rogue as far as real fish movement getting into the middle upper river. We don't even really start looking to that upper river around I-5 until much later in the season, October, mid-October. So we'll keep you informed on that. The Williamson River and Klamath Basin area, the Williamson has been pretty typical, a little later than normal for those fish. We had a nice cool spring, some overcast, so a little bit later for those fish moving up there. But I have to believe now there are a lot of large migratory fish spread out through the river. And I've seen some great shots. Guide we work with over there, Paul McDonald, we work closely with him. I know he's had some exceptional days. He's told me about some really great days, and he's told me about some rough days. So, that kind of hit or miss. I think a lot of it comes down to angler skill. A lot of times those fish are just hanging in gin clear water, and they're just hanging in those pods. And if you can reach them from distance, I think that helps a lot. But they employ a few different tactics. They do use some indicator tactics over there to get to them. So there's a few ways you can approach those fish. But that, swinging, almost stillwater type tactics, swinging small streamers, small nymphs, swimming nymphs can be really good and can produce some really great fish. So it certainly now would be the time to fish over there. The lower Wood River, that would be a good time to be looking for migratory rainbows as well. So that would be high on my list of something to do, is fish the Williamson. I should just say a brief note on Diamond Lake. It's been a really exceptional year up there. It seems like a lot of fish being caught, a lot of nice, healthy fish. So if you're a stillwater angler, Diamond Lake is within reach. We see a lot of folks from the valley fishing up there at Diamond Lake, and it's been really a good season up there. Lots of different tactics up there, stripping leeches, streamers, fishing old creek beds and stuff like that has been quite good. You typically hear about more of the south end of the lake for fly fishing, but chironomid fishing, bobber fishing has also been very good tactics over there. But it just seems like it's been pretty wide open this year, and that lake is kind of like that. It's kind of cyclical year to year, but it seems like it's on a pretty good upswing there. So Diamond Lake would be, for a stillwater angler, would be really a place to go. Northern California, we talk a lot about Northern California through the summer and the trout fishing happening down there. Now we'd be getting into what would be called the dog days. So you start to see much warmer temperatures, warmer water temps. So you really want to look at different places to fish where you got a little bit more canopy, fishing in the morning time. You definitely are going to see pretty good swings in water temperature there. If you're talking about the upper Sacramento, McLeod tends to be the real bright spot down there for this time of year, because you've really got that canopy of trees over the river that really helps. You get to this time of year, the fish have seen a lot. They've seen a lot of pressure, so you're probably using mostly nymphing tactics at this point. Small stuff, small nymphs. Maybe running into a late evening hatch or something here and there, but you're probably doing a lot of nymphing, a lot of Euro nymphing. These tactics work very well. High stick nymphing can work very, very well in the pocket water there. really common flows. I think it's 225 or something out of the dam, so that's really normal in there. It's just a beautiful place to be midsummer. You know, McLeod's an exceptional spot, and soon it'll be time to look for those migratory browns coming up out of Shasta Lake. In the last year or two, it's been pretty good for that. So you want to pay attention to that if you like fishing down there and fishing those brown trout. But the McLeod would be one of my strong recommendations for Northern California. It can get busy, but there's a reason it is. Upper Sacramento, I think, is one of my favorite places to fish in Northern California for trout. I think you can fish down there this time of year, maybe fish a little higher in the system above Dunsmuir. You know, a lot of springs come into the river up there, keep the water cooler. So that stretch, Cantera Loop stretch, Nay Springs, I'd probably look to that water. If you're fishing lower, and try to focus your efforts to mornings. You got better water temps down there, but that can also be pretty good. But I usually think of that a little bit earlier in the year. But that whole section can be a lot of fun fishing in those two rivers down there. Fall River, Hat Creek, don't have too much information for you there, but Fall can be quite good at this time of year. This kind of midsummer, it's one of those spring creeks, so the water's really cool, and it can see consistent hatches and consistent streamer type fishing, swimming nymph type fishing that we talk about with the Williamson. That can be a real similar setup down there on Fall. So Fall would be a place I would really consider fishing this time of year as well in Northern California. So there's your regional roundup. Thank you so much. We always appreciate you tuning in and checking out the fishing reports. Of course, always give us a call. We're always happy to follow up on anything as things develop and change. You know, just another note on the Rogue, we do see very consistent conditions in the Rogue this time of year and going into September. We hope we get little freshets of rain here and there, but we typically see very consistent stuff. So we're really stoked about this steelhead season this year, and we hope we can share a little bit of it with you. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the store. Thanks.